Hey everyone, it's Mari. Thanks for stopping by. I have a project today for the Scrapbook and Cards Today blog, and I'm going to be using this free cut file that you can download from the Scrapbook and Cards Today blog. This was designed by Nicole Noasad, and I just love it, and I decided that I would make a card using those cut files. So you can see that I've placed my pattern paper down on my cut mat, and this pattern paper is from Echo Park A Perfect Autumn, designed by Lori Whitlock. I really love the color scheme in this collection, and I wanted to cut my little leaves out of this paper. I'm going to be using some Strathmore Bristol Smooth cardstock for my card base, and I use these large pads, 11 by 17. I pick these up at Michael's and I buy them when they're buy one get one free. This pad has 24 papers in it, and so I cut them in half. So I end up with 48 sheets, and then when you get the other pad free, you have 96 sheets of 8.5 by 11 paper for about $26. So it's pretty cheap. Now I'm going to be taking some Distress Oxide inks here to start my project off today. I'm going to be using Broken China, Spice Marmalade, and Fossilized Amber. I'm going to just be working those onto some of that Strathmore paper using my Ranger tool here, and I'm just going to, you'll just see me blending these three colors on here. This is actually going to be the base for my shaker card today. So I'm going to be just blending these and cutting a circle out, and I'm going to be putting that to back my shaker. So you'll see that here in a minute. And I just love how these oxide inks blend onto the Strathmore paper, and it just blends so easily. It's actually quite a pleasure to blend on that paper, and I do find that the just Distress Oxide inks blend very nicely, so it's kind of fun to do. So you'll just see me working through that process of blending the different colors. I'm going to continue just to go in with that orange and try to create some more of the orange over in the other areas. You'll notice when that hits that blue, it turns green, and I end up with a really pretty blend of these three colors when I'm finished, just so that each of the colors isn't so dominant. It's really just a really pretty blend of those three different hues. So I like how this looks when it's all finished. I'm just going to continue to just go back and forth. It'd be a lot easier if I had one of those applicators for each color, but I don't. I just change the different little foam ends on them, and it takes probably a little bit longer that way, but that's okay. I don't have a ton of space to store all these little handles, I guess, is my main issue. So I'm just going to take this craft punch, and I'm going to cut a circle out of my paper here. And I do that, and then I realize that the circle is way too close to the top. So what I ended up doing was taking another piece of that wood grain paper from Tim Holtz from Ranger, and I used a die, a circle die. It's actually the circle stitch die from My Favorite Things, just so that my circle is down a little bit lower on my paper, because I wanted to use that scallop frame from My Favorite Things to put a frame around the circle where my shaker opening is going to be. So I'm just going to take some acetate paper here, and I'm going to stick that down to the back of this card or the back of the cardstock with some double-sided tape. Now I really love this this Tim Holtz or the Ranger wood grain cardstock paper. I don't know if you guys have ever used that before, but it's a lot of fun, and it's just a really neat way to finish your card front so that it's just a little bit more interesting, and I just really like the detail of it. So I'm just putting some of that double-sided tape around all four sides of my acetate sheet, and then I'm going to take off that release paper there and stick that down to the back of my card front, and that'll be the cover for my shaker. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around the acetate circle, so the perimeter of that circle, with some foam tape. So I'm just going to take my foam tape and cut it in half. I'm going to take that release paper off of it just because I'll be able to actually wind it around that card opening, or that shaker opening there. It'll actually just bend around that quite nicely, and just fill in that little gap there, and I'll be ready to put my sequins in. So I'm going to be using some sequins from Little Things by Lucy, I believe the company is called, and I absolutely love those sequin mixes. The one that I'm going to be using for today's project is called The Colors of Fall, and it's just gorgeous. It's gold and orange and all kinds of different colors of fall, and it's got shapes of leaves and little tiny circle sequins and all kinds of really gorgeous colors in there. I just really love that sequin collection. There's little stars in there, little gold stars, and so on. So you'll see me sprinkle those into the shaker opening here right away once I'm finished getting all of this double-sided tape down. So I'm just going to use this foam tape so that the front of the card is popped up off of the back of the off of the base of the card, and obviously that way it'll give the contents of the shaker some room to shake around, as will obviously the foam tape that's around the circle, or the perimeter of that circle. So there you can see I'm just adding some of these sequins. I had some left in the bag that they came in. It doesn't take very many of these. You don't need many to make the little shaker beautiful. So now I've got those in there. I think I'm going to spill them here in a second and have to chase them back into the little shaker pocket there. So I'm just going to take that release paper off of the back of all of my foam tape before I secure the Distress ink piece that I've got to put on there as well. Just going to get those all back in. And then I'll just finish that release tape, or the release paper off the tape, and stick that Distress ink backing on there so that when it's flipped over, the colors of the Distress ink will show up behind the sequins for my shaker. So that just looks really pretty. And like I said, I really like that wood grain embossed paper. I think it just finishes it off really nicely. So now I'm just going to take a little bit of really strong adhesive. This is my ATG gun, and I'm going to just adhere the front of the card down to that top folding base. So this is going to be a 5.5 by 4 1/4 card. And there you can see that shaking that's happening there, and I like how that looks. So now this is the little perimeter, or the little frame, I guess, that I've created to go around the outside of my shaker opening there, just to finish it off. And I'm going to take some stick-it paper, and I've already done this. I did it for a different piece of foam for another project, but I'm just showing you that what you do is you just take your stick-it paper, you adhere it to your foam and your craft foam, and then what you can do is use that to create, what I'm going to do is create a die cut word for the front of my card. So I'm going to just take some glitter paper, and I'm going to just lift up the release paper from that stick-it. I'm going to cut this out, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my die, which says thankful on it, onto that glitter paper, and I'm going to run that through my Big Shot, so that what I'm going to have when I'm finished is this really beautiful glittery, gold glittery word that says thankful on it. So I'm going to just adhere down that scallop frame to the area around my shaker part there. And I'm going to just add a little bit of adhesive to the back of my word thankful, and that's eventually going to be stuck down to the bottom of the card. So now I'm just taking a look at my gorgeous cut files, and I'm trying to decide where I want to add these. Before I put them onto my card, I've actually cut the sort of like the outline of the one leaf, and then I've cut a back to it as well, or that solid piece, and I'm going to back the sort of like the outline piece with another piece of colored pattern paper here from that same collection, a Perfect Autumn. going to do the same thing with this other one, this other leaf. And then I've also cut some of the leaves from the gold glitter paper that I think you should be able to see on my craft mat there. So some of the leaves are going to be pattern paper and some of the leaves are gold glitter paper, and that will look very nice with the little gold sequins that are in the shaker pouch, as well as the gold glitter word thankful. That's going to be the sentiment on the front of the card. And so I'm just going to adhere that patterned frame again down to that solid piece. And I just really love the color combination here too. It's so pretty with the fall colors, and it's going to look really nice with the same color of sequins that are inside that shaker pouch. Now at first I thought I was going to make a little cluster kind of on outside of that circle for the shaker, and later you'll see that I end up moving those and tucking them just on the inside of the lip of the shaker so that they're kind of hidden where they join. And then I'm going to put a little chipboard piece from the Perfect Autumn collection as well, just to finish it off. So I just love these little die cuts. You know, the beautiful thing about having a silhouette is you can create all of your own die cuts. You don't have to buy a ton of die cuts, although I must say I still have a fair share of die cuts in my stash, but I just really love the versatility of having a silhouette and having access to beautiful cut files like Nicole's. They are gorgeous. So here you can see I've just put the stems of the leaves inside the lip of that shaker like I mentioned earlier, and now I'm just going to take a chipboard piece from this brads or circled chipboard pieces, and I'm going to just stick that little leaf piece on there, and I really like how that finishes it off. Then what I did was I just took a Kathy Zielske stamp, and I put a little stamp on the inside that says "My Sweet Friend." And I just really love how this card turned out. It's really sweet, and it can be used for a lot of different things. It can just be sent as a greeting to a friend that you are really grateful for, or it could be, it could be actually an Thanksgiving themed card as well. Lots of different things you could use this card for, that's for sure. So this is that Kathy Zielske stamp set that I used for this card. So thanks so much, guys. I really appreciate that you stopped by today and checked out my process, and make sure you pop over to the Scrapbook on Cards Today blog. I'm going to leave a link in the description below so that you can hop over there and check out that free cut file from Nicole Noah Said. Bye bye, guys.